Fraser Island, Australia. There once lived an explorer who set sail from England with an ambition to discover a new continent. His name was Captain James Cook, the famous Royal Navy navigator and cartographer who pioneered the exploration of the South Pacific Seas. In 1770, before Europeans settled Australia, Captain Cook passed a long strip of white beach while sailing up the eastern coast of Australia. This is Indian Head. Cook chose this name because he spotted a group of native Aboriginal people standing near the coast. Indian Head was part of what is now called Fraser Island. Fraser Island was sculpted over a period of 800,000 years from sand borne by the wind and the currents of the sea. Measuring 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles across, and 123 kilometers, 76 miles in length, Australia's Fraser Island is the largest sand island in the world. Attached to the state of Queensland, Fraser Island lies just off the eastern coast of Australia. This is the Great Dividing Range, a chain of mountains that runs along the eastern side of the Australian continent. Over thousands of years, rain and wind steadily eroded the rock surfaces of these mountains, causing enormous amounts of sand to be flushed into the sea. Gradually, this sand was carried by the sea currents in a northeasterly direction. This steady flow of sand eventually became obstructed by boulders dotting the sea floor. The boulders trapped the sand, forcing it to accumulate and settle among the rocks. This process continued until eventually the world's largest sand island was formed. Today, the sea currents still carry sand that washes up on the island's shores. It is these mineral-rich deposits cause the island to continue to grow in size. The highly diverse scenery of the island is due to the unusual variations in the mineral content of its sandy soil. The pinnacles. These huge reddish-brown sandstone rocks were formed when the iron and other minerals contained within them oxidized and began to harden. This is an Australian dingo, a type of wild dog found in Australia. Dingoes are the most commonly seen mammals on Fraser Island. They were brought here by Aborigines more than 3,500 years ago. Once common on the island, the dingo population today is in decline, with fewer than 200 remaining. These wild horses are called brumbies. Similar to the American Mustang, a brumbie is a free-roaming feral horse in Australia. Horses were brought to Fraser Island as farm animals by Europeans in the late 1800s. Several horses managed to escape and reverted to a wild state. For the feral horses, Fraser Island was a harsh, formidable environment. The hooves of the brumbies gradually evolved and changed in shape to adapt to the conditions of this sandy island. Originally, Fraser Island consisted entirely of sand. Plant seeds were carried to the island by birds as well as the wind. Plants capable of withstanding dry weather and salty sea breezes were the first to take root on the island, while the roots of these plants helped stabilize the island's sandy soil. Later, lower-growing flowering grasses and succulent plants able to endure droughts began to sprout. Over time, the once empty stretches of sand began to turn green with grasslands. And ultimately, the island would become thickly forested. Because Fraser Island is a tropical island, it receives roughly 1,600 millimeters or 63 inches of rain every year. Dense forests envelop the island's interior, where the sand had collected into mounds. The sandy soil supporting these plants provides precious few nutrients and offers less than ideal growth conditions. However, fallen trees and decomposing leaves provide a valuable source of natural fertilizer for the forests of Fraser Island. The forests manage to survive as a result of the recycling of natural materials, the cyclical use of organic matter generated by the plants themselves. Fraser Island is also home to a large variety of birds. 240 different bird species can be found here. Taking refuge in the forests, the birds carry plant seeds from the mainland and thereby enrich and revitalize the inland forests. Fraser Island is also home to a variety of mammals, wallabies, snakes, possums, turtles, and flying foxes. The trees in the island's mature forests spread their roots deep into the sand. Intertwining root systems catch rainwater, turning the sandy soil of the island into an enormous sponge. The water filtered through the sandy soil eventually reappears above ground in the form of lakes and streams. There are more than 50 rivers of varying sizes that help sustain the organisms inhabiting the island. Lake Boumanjan lies in a secluded spot within the forest. Brimming with clear, fresh water, the lake occupies an area of 190 hectares, or 470 acres, making it the world's largest sand dune lake. Because the lake's water has been filtered through the sand, it is sparklingly transparent. There are more than 40 sand dune lakes on Fraser Island. These lakes account for almost half of all the sand dune lakes known to exist in the world today. Some of the lakes are filled with red water. The pigments of decaying plant material have leached into the water, thus causing it to be tinted red. It is one of nature's marvels that lakes can form on an island that consists almost entirely of sand. These so-called coffee rocks are situated near the coast. Over the years, decayed plant material bonded with the sand to create this hardened black bedrock. The island's sand dune lakes formed when water collected on top of this impervious layer of bedrock. Australians regard Fraser Island as a place that must be visited at least once in a person's lifetime. In the past, the island had been subjected to aggressive development and commercial exploitation. These syncarpia trees grow to heights greater than 30 meters or 100 feet. Syncarpia trees grow tall and straight and are resistant to salt water. These attributes made them ideal timber to be used to repair the sidewalls of the Suez Canal. Harvesting syncarpia trees led to uncontrolled logging, which posed a serious threat to the island's natural environment. Fraser Island was designated a World Heritage Site in 1992. Fortunately, most of the island is now a protected nature reserve. As the world's largest sand island, Fraser Island contributes uniquely to Australia's wilderness heritage. Its uninterrupted white beaches, strikingly colorful sand cliffs, ancient rainforests, and numerous freshwater lakes make it a place of exciting and rare natural beauty.